Okay, so following on from the agricultural case study, I wanted to go through and just show another demonstration of the infrastructure case study. So the infrastructure case study actually uses different sea level rise based climate information products. So as I go into the infrastructure case study, similar approach in terms of providing access to info bytes regarding aspects of infrastructure impacts for climate information services. And then similarly, the ability to access a very specific and targeted application for infrastructure. So this particular application, the focus is understanding the potential impacts of sea level rise on key road infrastructure around Vanuatu. So as we come into this particular application, you can see it's different from the agricultural case study application, which was more focused on crops, suitability, temperature, and rainfall. This application includes all of the sea level rise modelling that was performed for Vanuatu through the VanKIRAP project. So what you can see here on the right-hand side is a map. The map includes detailed mapping of all of the roads across Vanuatu that was produced, as well as the high detail inundation models that represent sea level rise at different annual return intervals. And then on the left-hand side, you can see statistics in terms of the total length of road impacted based on different scenarios for both the 10, 50, and also the 100-year return intervals. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just zoom in so you can see the level of detail that's available with these sea level rise models. As we're zooming in, you can see we're currently looking at a low emission scenario at 2030. We have the ability, similar to the previous applications, to actually choose a different time period and then see the difference in that particular sea level rise modelling. We also have the ability to change from a low emission scenario to a high emission scenario. Once again, visualising that change, but also getting statistics on the actual amount of road that's impacted based on that particular climate model and scenario. So this is comprehensive across Vanuatu, and the one thing we really wanted to focus on is the ability to then go through and analyse specific roads. So as you can see down the bottom here, we have a full listing of the roads in a table format and the ability to then sort to identify which roads are going to be most impacted at which particular times. So you can see here, these particular percentages represent the current model that's being used for future climate. So if I was to go through and go back to a low emission scenario down to 2030, you can see not only does the map change, but also the actual statistics in terms of the impact of those climate models on their different areas. And what we can do here is to go through and then click on a particular road, such as this one in Melee, which has been shown to be impacted 70% at a 100-year return interval. And you can then see, as we zoom around, the actual impact of predicted sea level rise on this particular road infrastructure. Up the top here, we then map out all the way from baseline through to 2090 based on 10, 50 and 100-year return intervals, both under a low emission and high emission scenario. So once again, really rich data that we're providing, but trying to make it really relevant for this case study. If I pick another road, so let's go Palakula and zoom in, you can then zoom around all the way around the different areas and different roads and then get the particular analysis. And whether that's looking at a low emission scenario 2030, mapping that out to 2090, and you'll see these inundation areas change. And then also looking at the impacts of a low emission scenario versus high emission. So if I choose high emission, you'll then see the expansion of that area and then the impact and the percentage of that road that's actually going to be covered and the potential risk to infrastructure. So this showcases how we're taking different climate information products, as well as the ability to produce compliance reports. So I won't go into a detail for this demo, but this allows new roads to be uploaded and then to perform a compliance report around potential risk for sea level rise moving forward for design roads.